Hello, I'm Dela.
Hi, I'm Paula.
Hi, and I'm Colleen.
We know who we are. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Butterfly Effect. We're so happy to be with you here again tonight. Hey, girls, it's been a blast.
Yes. Can you believe this is our 8th episode?
Oh, my God.
Wow. Well, thank you. Thank you to all of those who have been with us throughout this month. Thank you for those who are here for the first time. Welcome. And let's dive in. This is fun.
It's so wonderful to be here. This has been The Butterfly Effect has been a COVID baby.
Yes, it's very true.
And so every single month we have come on here, the third Thursday of the month. We've come on here and we've brought out a simple topic that's maybe a struggle for a lot of people, but we've all had something to share on this. And we've had a lot of engagement from the audience, which has been a blessing. It's so much fun when people join into the conversation and they leave us comments, and we get to share their experiences and what they do with the same struggle. And it just opens up such a perspective for other people to look at it from a different point of view. And to you girls, to both of you, I want to thank you for having been here every single time, for coming out 100%, and for giving your knowledge as generously as you have. So I want to thank you, and I'm so excited for this topic tonight. This time of year, in December, a lot of people start setting goals. Mm-hmm. And so, we sit down, we write goals, what we're going to do, we plan ahead. We're so gung-ho on setting these goals, and we're going to do them. And January comes, and yay, New Year's resolution. And a few weeks pass by, and we're like, right? We forget about every single goal that we have made. And that's why New Year's resolutions fail.
Yeah.
And so as a part of this, I think it's a great idea to discuss the idea of procrastination and action versus procrastination. And that is the topic of our show tonight. So I'm just going to go ahead and put that up there just so that people can see as they join us. Action versus procrastination. What do you think of this topic?
I think that you hit the nail on the head. It was inspired by thinking about resolutions. We started saying, what topic should we talk about, and we started talking about New Year's resolutions, and then so that's where we got to the action versus procrastination. And I think this is a really good topic. I think that everyone can resonate with it, because I don't know about you, but I think everyone I know has procrastinated at some point. Mm-hmm. And some people more than others. So I think that this is a really good topic that will reach out to a lot of people. Paula?
I agree. I think it's fascinating, because as I dived into this, I realized reasons that I procrastinated throughout the years, Like I never even, without putting the focus on it, I wasn't as aware of what I was doing and why. So having to work for preparing for tonight, I've realized that, oh my gosh, like, wow, this is real. It's not just fascinating because, wow, you know what, you make resolutions, and most often than not, the first few weeks of each year, almost everyone is so enthusiastic and it's so passionate about reaching their goal, and they will do in their mind, they will do whatever they put their mind to. And the next thing you know, as the year progresses and weeks and days go by, you realize that you drop things as you go along, and you don't even realize, why am I doing it?
That's true.
As you guys said, I strongly see now the relation between, I believe, and actually even I found out the stats about it, but most of the population actually experiences at one point or another, just as Colleen said, this procrastination. Yeah.
I think a while ago I realized that I was a major procrastinator, and so that went in. Actually, that went into my book as a part of my journey, because I realized, oh my God, I procrastinated a lot in my life. And so I hope that we touch on some triggers tonight. I think it's just, this topic is so great because we can bring awareness as usual. That's all we want to do. So here we go. And I want to welcome everybody who's on here to please leave us a comment, and because we can't tell who's here and watching. Oh, except that Jarek is now here and he's sending kisses to all of us. I see Facebook users, but I can't see who they are. If you can just give us a comment and letting us know where you're calling from or where you're commenting from. It's amazing to have you on here. Thank you so much for spending the next hour with us, so that we can learn together and hear from each other's experiences. So here we go. And please share this talk with the people that you love, because you just never know whom this might help. So action versus procrastination. And as usual, I'm going to go to our trusty encyclopedia dictionary gal, Colleen. Please give us the definition as it shows in the dictionary for procrastination.
So I found a couple of definitions. One of them was when I Googled it, and I found a really basic one. But I found one on a website called verywellmind.com, and I really like this one. So I'll read it to you. It's a form of self-regulation failure characterized by the irrational delay of tasks despite potentially negative consequences. And I thought that sounded really accurate to me.
Yes. And a couple of words that jumped out at me were irrational and consequences.
Negative, yeah. And
Negative,
regardless of the potential for negative consequences.
Yes. Yes. So it sounds to me like it sounds like the dictionary is saying we have complete control over procrastination. That's how I take it. Okay. Right. All right. So from here now, we're going to go to each of you and get your take on what procrastination means to you, and kind of touch on what is it you tend to procrastinate.
I think I have a tendency to procrastinate.
Colleen.
So, and I did want to mention again, because you've already mentioned it, but I want to hear what our audience has to say on this subject. And I think you touched on it earlier that especially last month, we had a lot of audience participation, and it was like one of my favorite episodes because I love hearing what other people have to say, because it just really touches my heart to hear other people and what their take is on it. Yeah. So for me, I find that I tend to procrastinate things that either I'm not good at, right? So I feel maybe a little bit fear of failure, or I tend to procrastinate things that might. So I'll give an example. It might explain it better. Would that be okay? Yeah. So recently I had to move I was renting a place and the landlord had decided to sell, and I had to move. So I had to pack everything. Now it's not that I entirely procrastinated. I had all the boxes, I did all the things, but there was a part of me every day that wanted to procrastinate every single day. And I think that part of it is because to have everything packed meant that I had to admit that I was leaving my home. You know what I mean? So it was more of an emotional, I don't want this to happen. So maybe if I procrastinate, it won't. But yeah, inevitably, I had to move. So
that makes total sense. You had an emotional attachment to it,
yeah,
to the outcome, right? And so by not doing it, by procrastinating, you were trying to avoid that outcome. It makes total sense.
yeah.
And I think that resonates with me too. Because yes, there's a lot of times that, you know, you find yourself not wanting to do something because you're not quite ready for that end result. So
Yeah.
I definitely for sure relate to that. What about you, Paula? What do you tend to procrastinate?
Well, I think I'll stick first to the what is procrastination for me first.
Yes, please.
And before I go there, I actually found another explanation in another dictionary. And it's by Dr. Samuel Johnson, who wrote the first comprehensive English dictionary. And he defines it there as being a delay.
Mm-hmm.
So, believe it or not, many people have taken this as a fact, and they are maintaining this concept of believing that procrastination is actually a delay. So I kind of thought about this a little bit. So let's think about it. If procrastination means simply delay, then we should be okay with concepts like scheduling and prioritizing, but we aren't, are we? Like I read an article a while back, and I can't remember where and how and whatever, but there were a couple of examples there that related to this concept of delaying as being procrastination. So let's think, for example, let's imagine that you are a surgeon and you are about to put a patient under a general anesthesia. And you just find out that this person just ate at this buffet. And he even went for seconds because he was so hungry. Okay. Now, do you think you should hold off with this surgery, considering that there might be an increased risk that maybe, I don't know, his bowels may empty into his lungs, you know, right there on your table?
Well, yeah. I think the patient should have read.
Thinking of this alone, oh, actually, there is another one. Let's imagine that you are on a Caribbean and you plan or you schedule your surfing, you know, windsurfing or fishing or something to do with being on the water, right? And they announce like level 5 hurricane coming on that very day that you planned around the same time. Now, would it be wise to delay your surfing for a day or two?
Yes.
I think so too. So now with these examples and looking at the definition of being a delay, I think these examples are really good examples of delay, but I will not take them as being procrastination. So in my mind then, procrastination has to be something a little more than just delaying, right? Now, oh my goodness, sorry, there was a huge sound there. Now, the Oxford English Dictionary gets closer to what Colleen was saying. And I found it to actually be true for me too. And it's mentioning about this irrational side of things. So it defines procrastination more like a postponement, deferring action, especially without good reason, or deferring due to an indecision of some sorts. Okay, so now for me personally, the question from my end, I realized that it means postponing doing something without really understanding why am I not doing it right there and then.
Mm-hmm.
So I found that some of us may procrastinate in some area of our life, but we may not in others. So me personally, if I was to, let's say, look at anything to do with health, I will never procrastinate pertaining to my health. But if I was to look into, let's say, admin work as an entrepreneur, that I will think twice because I do procrastinate from time to time.
So you procrastinate things you don't like to do.
That's one thing. And looking back now and realizing that I do have to answer the question of what are some of my reasons. I think it's one, it will be something I don't like or I don't enjoy. And a couple of others that have come up, it's perfectionism and the fear of unknown or being ridiculed. Now, it's interesting. I want to focus on perfectionism for 1 second, only because coming from the ballet background, back then, it was all about exactness, perfection, or so I actually thought, right? So the fear of making mistakes, it's in this perfectionism. And it's actually real because we end up putting these obligations that are important to another day. We think that, it has to be perfect. And we look at it, or I shouldn't say we, I should say I, back then, I looked at it as being a positive trait. But it turned out to be actually a mix of anti-productive habits and attitudes that actually discouraged my progression. I found that it was misunderstood because you look at, she's a perfectionist. She has high standards, but that's not true because these standards that I kept myself up above, some of them were never achieved because I decided I won't even try because it will not be perfect.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yes, it makes total sense.
Yeah.
So I get it. That idea of perfectionism, and for a long time, I never thought of myself as a perfectionist. But lately, it's self-awareness, right? Because I find that I have tendencies of perfectionism, and it's sometimes is a roadblock because, like Paula said, I procrastinate on things. So just to give you an example, me writing my book took a long time because I kept on procrastinating. It was, let me do this before, like, let me get here before I write my book, right? Maybe let me accomplish this before I write that book. And at the end of the day, I realized that is not how I'm going to get things done. So I think for me, I procrastinate on things that first of all, I'm not sure that I'm capable of doing, but also I procrastinate on things that I might feel like are not important, or that they're too difficult for me to do. So I procrastinate. I'm not a procrastinator. I procrastinate on all those things.
Except for these areas.
Yeah, seriously. So having said that, I mean, we know that it's a roadblock, and it's more than just what did you say? Delay.
Yeah.
Because it is, I think when we talk about procrastination, it's got that negative consequence for us, because without that negative consequence, it will not be procrastinating. It would be making the right decision to delay it. Because we'll make a decision that it's not important for us to do right now. And at this moment, it's not on our priority list. So therefore, I'm going to wait. So we got a comment from Jarek. He says, Christmas kisses. No, not that one. He says, to me, procrastination is conscious and unconscious avoidance of things you should accomplish in an orderly and timely manner. Things like own health, self-improvement, obligations, commitments, deliverables, hygiene, feelings, etc. That's really interesting. Thank you. So this is really this is good. But I have a question. How do you procrastinate on feelings?
I think we bury our feelings. Is that what he means?
I don't know.
You know what I mean? We don't allow ourselves to be in that feeling, and we put on that mask, we put on that fake, and we don't allow ourselves to,
like, dealing with feelings. Like, I'll deal with this later. Kind of deal. Okay. Well, maybe Jared can elaborate on that a little bit more. Not dealing not dealing with them, right?
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
dealing with them, yes. And so, so then, what are the consequences for something like that, ladies?
Well, I think it depends on what area, and there was a whole list there of things, and I think that the consequences are different depending on what you're procrastinating. So if it has to do with your business, then if you're avoiding doing your taxes, there could be consequences financially in the long run, right? You could result in an audit because you've delayed it, and now the government's like, okay, so what's going on? Not dealing with your feelings, that one is a big one for a lot of us. I think a lot of us do that all the time, and so I think a lot of people can resonate with that one. And the danger of burying your feelings is that your feelings are going to come out at some point, and at least if you address them, you get to decide how you react. If you bury them, they could come out in kind of surprising ways. So
not good surprises.
Not good surprises.
Yes, like anxiety, bad habits, etc. Losing the trust of others. That's for sure. But that's really interesting, because you are right, Jarek, and we do. I'm looking at your list, and it's so accurate. We do procrastinate on health, and I want to go back to that, because Paula said she'll never procrastinate on her anything that has to do with her health, and a lot of people do. And so let's spend a little bit of time there, and maybe this will bring awareness to someone tonight. And I've seen a lot of people who avoid going to the doctors or having something checked, and something is pressing, and maybe they're suffering with this one ache or pain or something that that's come up for them, and they just avoid going to take care of it. And there could be severe consequences to that. What do you think?
Absolutely. There is an old phrase that says, what you don't know can't hurt you. It actually isn't true. Because in almost every case, if you ignore something for a long period of time, hoping it will go away, it could actually get worse.
Mm-hmm.
And this brings me to a research I read. Let me just think. I think it's the University of Michigan. They conducted a study, and
I love how she just pulls these things out of her sleeves. Like, where'd you do?
I am a bookworm, okay? So I read constantly. Like, honestly, if I was to choose one thing to do aside from my profession, I would just read.
I love that you keep that in your memory. She's like pulling drawers. Let me see. Files.
Anyway, let me go back to the University of Michigan, okay?
Yeah.
There was a study conducted, okay, and it was in the effects of allowing misinformation to linger in someone's mind. And I think it's important because of the fact that you brought in the importance of not procrastinating, particularly when it comes to your health. So the study, if I remember well, notes that misinformation remains in one's memories and continue to influence their thinking, even if the person is aware that they are mistaken, which I found fascinating. Can you imagine that? It stays in your mind, even though you are aware that it's just not true. Now, furthermore than that, what's sad about this study, it applies to detriments such as environment, such as politics, and even on individual level, particularly when you perceive certain notions about health. With issues, let's say, like you said, let's take, for example, cancer. And let's pretend that you say that, well, cancer doesn't run in my family, so therefore I'm probably going to be fine. So you not taking steps forward to protect your health, learning about what cancer is or how to increase your immunity, and the list goes on, whatever the case may be, right? That's
being proactive, right?
A lot of people think ignorance is bliss. But the truth is, sometimes we procrastinate, like Yannick said, because we want to stay ignorant. We want to stay happy. We are afraid of what may happen if we actually find out what that meant or what would that be. So I think it's important to acknowledge the fact that it's extremely important to understand that knowledge is power. So yeah, like when it comes to procrastination, there are so many things we could do, but yeah, I'll give the ball to Colleen or you, Dela. What do you guys?
Thank you. What, Colleen, it's your turn.
No, I agree. We tend to procrastinate. When was it Jarek? Is that the name?
Yes.
Okay.
Yarek.
One of the. Pardon me.
Yarek.
Jarek.
So Yarek, his comment, the word that he used was avoidance, and I think that is a key word when it comes to procrastination in my mind. Okay. Is that it's not just the delay or postponement of something, but it's the avoiding something. And like we said earlier, that even though there's potential for a negative consequence, and we've already mentioned a bunch of the reasons why, right? We're not good at it. We don't like doing it. It's there's just a variety of reasons why we might postpone something that should actually be done now. And there's so many areas in our life, and there's so many good points, right? Like, so, and Paula, you said that sometimes there might be areas like your health where you would never procrastinate, but then something else like ordering your Christmas presents in time since we just went on lockdown, and like anyone who procrastinated their Christmas shopping or their holiday shopping, now the malls are closed in our area. So it's just stuff, it can be in any area of your life where you have the potential for procrastination. So, and Dela, you mentioned that about, writing the book, and you were waiting, well, when I've accomplished this, when I've done this, when this has happened, that I'll have more to write about. Well, it's the same as people that procrastinate, like, well, I'll have a kid, you're a married couple, and we're going to wait until we have kids until this happens. Well, the reality is that it's never the right time for that particular thing, because you'll never say, okay, let's do it, I'm ready. That's very rare. I shouldn't say never. It's very rare that people are in a place where they're ready for that. So sometimes you just got to jump in and just have faith that everything will be exactly as it's supposed to be.
Yes. And you're right. And you touched on something I was going to say, is that sometimes we procrastinate things that we are fearful of.
Yes.
Right. Because because of the unknown.
Yeah.
We don't know, we don't understand, or, we're afraid of what we don't know and we don't understand. So good points. Those are great points. Thank you.
Or could it be that it's the fear of revealing the truth about what we don't want to hear, or perhaps what we're not ready yet to hear?
Sure. In the case of, someone who's avoiding, finding the truth about something. Right. Yeah, you're so right. So we procrastinate for so many different reasons, and everybody's so different. And, but I think for the most part, we understand each other, and we understand why we procrastinate. So I think the next thing is, how do you overcome that? Like, how do we overcome procrastination? Because it seems like everybody does it. And it seems like it's got a negative outcome, and we don't like it. So and we still do it. So how do we overcome that? And so this is a good thing to the audience too. If you're with us, welcome. We really appreciate having you with us on this talk. Leave us comments. How do you overcome procrastination? What have you done in the past? How have you dealt with it in the past? So let's hear your take. Okay, so I'll go to Colleen first, and then to Paula.
So there's so many. I'll share first too, and then I want to hear what Paula has to say.
Okay.
The first one I have is you have to I think somebody referred to it as the 5-second rule. When you decide to do something, and this was Allison Woodley, she was talking about exercise, and she said the 5-second rule is when you think about it, get up and do it. Because the minute you get in, as soon as you let yourself get into your own head, you'll talk yourself out of it. You'll justify not doing it. So the 5-second rule, get up and do it within 5 seconds of when you think about it, especially those things that you know you have a tendency to procrastinate. And the other thing is take it in baby steps. I think that sometimes we do, for example, you were talking about writing a book. Instead of saying, okay, I'm going to write a book this week, you say, okay, well, today I'm going to do the outline.
This year.
Yeah. But you know what I mean? Like today I'm going to focus on the outline. And you're right. Maybe you give yourself until the end of the week or the end of the month, right?
Yeah.
But you do it in baby steps so that it's not an overwhelming thing. So it's manageable, it's realistic. You want to be realistic with those little baby steps. What can I do in a smaller period of time without feeling like the pressure of the entire thing? Do it step by step. So those are the two things that specifically that I would like to start by sharing. So Paula, what about you?
Actually, leads me back to going to homeopathic medical school. My gosh. Woo. Okay, so I've acquired 2 strategies throughout the school. Okay, only because I went to school here in Toronto, and at the time, many years ago, I'm not going to say how many, so you don't know how old I am. I didn't speak English very well. So it was very difficult and challenging first to study health sciences and all that in a completely different languages. And so I came across 2 techniques, okay? They were, one is called Pomodoro Technique. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with that.
Is that a tomato?
Sort of like that. Or the other one is Parkinson's Law. Have you heard about either of those?
No. Enlighten us.
You can learn.
Someone said, Jarek said, bookworms are sexy, just like intelligence.
Okay, well, thank you.
Okay, so enlighten us.
Let's stay on task. So let's not procrastinate about answering the question. Okay, so I find there is it's very true, like the way Colleen has referred to it, small steps. So what I mean by that is, so Pomodoro Technique actually increases expectancy. So I often found that for me particularly, it was harder to start than to actually finish the task. And it was a lot easier to focus on a small task than on a whole big task. So let me give you an example. If I will start with the thought that I need to study for pharmacology for 5 freaking hours all straight, 100% I can guarantee you I will get distracted extremely easily. And I will not even start the studying, never mind finishing it. So I was training myself to, instead of saying I have 5 hours or 10 hours or 20 hours that I have to study for this particular test or for this particular subject, I will say I'm going to study for 20 minutes today. And at the end of it, I'm going to go have a piece of chocolate. And that was my reward, okay? So I found it a lot easier to stay on or focus on task, having that little step, right? Rather than, oh my gosh, I have 20 hours I have to study. And for me, so that was one on, in other words, how I would call this is keep the task small, sort of like the way Colleen said, take a small step forward, right? And the second was setting the bar way lower than what I will actually be capable of doing. And okay, let me give you an example. So what comes to mind right now is about 20 plus years ago, I started meditating. I read somewhere that breathing and meditating will increase the overall health, especially mind, body, spirit connection. So I'm like, that's it. Tomorrow, I'm going to start 20 minutes a day, every single day. Guess what? Didn't happen. A week went by and I looked back and I'm like, shoot, I said I'm going to do it 20 minutes a day and I've done 2 minutes, 2 times this week. Like, okay, something is wrong there. So what I ended up doing is saying, okay, I'm going to change the 20 minutes to 2 minutes. So doing it for 2 minutes, it allowed me, believe it or not, I end up doing it every single day. And eventually that 2 minutes turn into 10, 20, 30. So in other words, just as I said earlier, it was a lot harder to just start and be consistent. And then I didn't find it as a hard thing to do as I was consistent at it. It became a habit to just do it every day. Now, what I'm fascinated by mostly is this Parkinson law, because it can be used to your advantage. So as mentioned, we often start with the idea that we can complete the task at later time, which ultimately crushes even those of us who are productive by nature, right? It just, even for those, it's very challenging. So, you know what? One person who actually taught me this particularly is Raymond Aron. About a year ago, I went to one of his events, and I left literally in awe, because he said he will do something. When he says he will do something, he'll do it. And I'm like, And honestly, he wasn't kidding, because he stopped. I remember he stopped right there in the middle of the stage, paused, picked up his phone, and sent all of us something he promised he will send. And I'm like, what? That's impossible. Like, what? Right now? Like, you just stopped the teaching and then he said, guys, when you decide to do something, do it right there and then. Don't delay, because the moment you delay and say, I'm going to do it later, guess what happens? Later never happens. It's sort of like the way Colleen said it. So anyway, I got sidetracked.
Parkinson's.
So let me go to Parkinson's law. So what the Parkinson's law states is that work expands to fill the time allotted to it. So in other words, if, let's say, whatever it is that you need to do, it takes you 30 minutes to do it, but you really have 2 hours in your hands, guess what ends up happening? You will spend the 2 freaking hours to do it, even though it would have taken you 30 minutes if you were disciplined and you stuck to the task at hand.
You're so exact on this, okay? And I was just going to say that, because that happens to me a lot. And I have to look at the comments and make sure we say hi to the people who are watching us right now. But Yerrick said there's one remedy for procrastination.
Okay.
And it's diligence.
I think it's discipline.
He says that's why diligence is a virtue, because it is an antidote for procrastination. So thank you for that. That's really cool. We need to come back to that. Actually, maybe we'll make that the topic of another show, diligence. Lori McNeil says, hashtag live. Yay. Coach Lori, thank you for being here. I wanted to go back to what Paula said. And as you were talking, I'm thinking, but when I'm pressed for time, that's when I do my best thinking, my best creative work. My best results come out of a really compressed time. So you're so right, Paul. That's Parkinson's law.
Yeah, well, Parkinson's law, it's more to do with whatever time you allocate for something, that's how long it will take you to do it.
Yes. And so the same thing that could take me, I'm just thinking in terms of what I do, like floral design. I could be pressed for time. I could have 2 hours and 10 things to make, and I can design 10 different floral designs in 2 hours, and I could have 2 hours for 2. And I would still take 2 hours. And so, so what do you say about that? That's weird, huh?
Yeah. So basically what you're doing is that when you allot yourself the time, the lesser amount of time, you get her done, right? Like you're getting it done in that time frame, and you're just reinforcing what Paula just said. Basically, when you allow yourself 2 hours to do 2, it takes you 2 hours.
Yeah.
That's what you got. But when you say, okay, I got 10 to do and I only have 2 hours, suddenly you can do 10 in 2 hours. So that's really cool. You just reinforced what Paula just demonstrated.
There are so many different factors that come hand in hand to make an action step happen. And I'm thinking, so we don't procrastinate things we like to do.
Yeah.
Things that make us passionate and things that bring us joy. We don't procrastinate on those. We right?
No.
Yeah, we procrastinate the chores.
Sure. So I heard someone say, you're the one who puts the joy into things.
Yes.
And so that resonates with me, because we can put the joy into doing taxes, I suppose. But I think the question is, how creative can you be with that, right? I mean, a lot of people like doing taxes. Good for them. I love that. Good for you. But for those things we don't really enjoy doing, then maybe, like Paula said, do you remember how you said, you gave yourself a prize, like what was it, a piece of chocolate or something?
Yeah.
In 20 minutes, I will eat the chocolate.
Like saying, okay, so let me do this now and finish it, and at the end of it I'll get to, I don't know, do something I love to do, like whatever, like 10 minutes of whatever I like to do, or half an hour of doing whatever I like to do, or watching that movie that I wanted to watch, like, but let me finish this first. It takes discipline. You said it. Who said it? Discipline.
I did.
You said
I'm
discipline.
all about discipline.
Yes, discipline. Okay, so where does diligence come in then, you ladies?
I think it's, I wonder if it's linked to motivation, because motivation is the willingness to do the work, which is the opposite of procrastination.
Mm.
Well, when I think of diligence, I think of sticking to it. So once you get started, just do it until it's done, is what I think, that how I interpret the diligence part of it. I think the discipline that Paula is talking about is more about getting started, which I think for a lot of us, that's the hard part, because once I get started on something, I'm already there. I'm just going to do it until it's done.
Yeah.
But it's the getting started that's the hard part sometimes. So that's why for me, the baby steps was a big one, and the 5-second rule were big, and that they speak to me because my biggest hurdle is the getting started. So for someone finishing it, like if they get easily distracted, the diligence would be the part that they would need to focus on.
Okay.
To make change.
You said the 5-second rule, and actually something popped up in my head. And I don't know if you ladies know Mel Robbins.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course. Ooh la la.
Okay. Right. So Mel Robbins has a 10-second countdown. And so with her 10-second countdowns, she got the idea when she was in depression and she didn't want to get out of bed, because her and her husband had been through so much, and they had these like disastrous business ventures, and they were bankrupt. And so she was in bed. She couldn't get out of bed because of her depression. She said one day she was watching TV, and she saw this rocket ship take off, and there was a countdown. So 10, 9, 8, all the way to 1. And then this rocket ship just took off, and she thought of the idea, what if I was that rocket ship and I had no choice but to take off when that countdown happened. And she said, from that moment on, she made that her trademark. She has this like TED Talk where she talks about this, and it's amazing. The day I heard that was like, okay, so there are so many things I can do when I count down, because you kind of preparing yourself. You're counting from 10 all the way to 1, and you're telling yourself that when this number hits 1, man, I'm taking off no matter what. There's no like buts or ifs. I'm taking off. So I thought that was really cool, and that that helps with procrastination. Just counting back and then do it.
Yeah, I love that. The countdown. I like the countdown.
The countdown. So Yerrick says sense of diligence, concentration, discipline, ambition, pride, many senses contribute to I guess,
Success.
Yes, success and action. And Yerrick says the accomplishment in the end is self-rewarding. That is so true.
Truth there, yes, there is truth there, absolutely.
Yes. And so if that's great. Now, okay, how about this? How about thinking ahead of time? Oh, how would I feel having accomplished this? How would I feel having finished this task?
Right.
So I'm thinking, how would I feel? I don't know, like finishing this.
Well, how did you feel when you finished writing your book? When you finally
fantastic.
Yeah.
And what a big accomplishment, right? What a sense of accomplishment. But I'm thinking in terms of like just everyday things that we procrastinate. I don't know, like
laundry, making your bed,
making the bed, or washing the dishes. Right. I don't know what
counter after wash. I hate washing dishes. It's one of my most hated things to do. So I would procrastinate if I could. But the minute the counter is cleared and like everything's clean, I love that. So yeah. So looking forward to the reward at the end.
Yes. Absolutely. I remember on this talk, like now we're going somewhere else, but I need to say this because I think sometimes we are really hard on ourselves. One day, one after a very long day, I came home and it was like a long day, super long day, like physically, emotionally. And I came home, and as I'm walking through my house, I pass by the kitchen and I look over to the counter, and it's like filled with dishes. And I haven't been home all day, and I'm tired and I'm exhausted, and I am mad.
Now you're
now I'm mad, and now I'm angry. And so at that very moment, I needed to make a decision. Do I head into the kitchen and start doing the dishes because I know that this is what has to be done, and I'm to do it at the end of the day? Or do I make a decision to take care of my need right now and head upstairs and take a hot bath? And so that was a split moment decision, because I knew I had to do that for me. Because had I gone into the kitchen, nobody would have gotten alive that night. So I needed to make that. I needed to procrastinate that for my own well-being.
Well, I think that is that procrastination or prioritization, right? Like, and you touched on it earlier, Paula, when you talked about it, delaying or postponement, is that it's a choice, and there's no negative consequences to you not doing the dishes, really, right?
Yes.
And you're honoring your desire or your need to have that relaxation, and let's just sit in the bath and chill.
Yes. Any thoughts on that?
Well, I think procrastination is a lot more than this, guys. Honestly, we will not have time to discuss it all, but I believe there is a value in understanding whom you are and understanding your own personality and figuring out through that what's causing me to delay, to postpone, to not act. I think that's a value in understanding you, because there are so many different reasons, and some may even be linked to mental health. Some may be even linked to so many different things, and some people may actually need help. So it is something that, remember I was saying that I've done a little research, and I can't remember where. Oh yeah, it was done this year in January in UK. Actually, there was a survey done on 1,000 people, and they found that 15.6% said that they never procrastinate. Okay, and that pretty much leaves about 84% of the population procrastinating at one point or another in their life.
Yes.
That's huge.
I'm surprised that those 16.6% don't ever.
I think 16% is that 1 or 2% of the population who understand the law of attraction, if I may go there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love that topic. We need to talk about that one. So I want to say this because we only have 10 more minutes, and I wanted to leave everybody with some action steps.
Okay.
So how do we overcome procrastination? If you could give us a couple of tools. I do want to say that we have a comment from a Facebook user. I don't know who you are because no name is showing up, but thank you so much. They say, very enlightening show, and you are all doing amazing. Thank you.
I can see who that is if you'd like.
Who is it?
Who Akaka?
I don't know, but thank you. Thank you so much. And Shana's, she's saying hello to all of us, and she says this is a great show, and a bunch of other comments, beautiful comments that I will read later, and they're in Iranian. So here we go. Action steps. Okay, what can we do when we come across something that we know we need to do, but we are procrastinating? Okay, just take your 2 minutes and please give us some steps.
I think that procrastination I think there's a correlation between procrastinating and a goal. So if we focus on the goal, and like you said, the outcome, the desired outcome, and if we approach it the same way we would approach a goal, in that you have to, first of all, decide what it is that you want. Like what is it that needs to be done? What is it that you want? Secondly, you're going to have the willingness, have the willingness to do whatever it takes to get it done. And these are all from Think and Grow Rich, which is the Napoleon Hill book from years and years ago that still to this day applies to the philosophies apply. So the burning desire, the willingness to do whatever it takes, and then make that decision that it's going to happen. And like I said earlier, for me, my hurdle is that getting started. So I either have to just get up and do it. When I was in school, I had to go to the gym as part of the program that I took. And I'm not a gym person. I don't like going to the gym, but I had to have actual hours recorded for my school program. And so I used to get up and I'd say, oh, I don't want to go. And then it would just be like, nope, you got to do it. Go. And you just get up and you'd leave the house. Right. And the minute I would start, I loved every minute of going to the gym. I loved it. I loved the feeling while I was there. I loved the feeling after I was done, but it was just getting that started. So I had to make that decision that this is what I want. It's my choice. It's my decision. And I go and I own it. And that for me was the big thing.
Okay. Thank you. And Paula?
I come back to the discipline, and let me elaborate a little bit. So let's take this past week, actually, I had a patient walking into the office and said that, we talked about affirmations and I came up with few, and I keep on reading and nothing happened. So I thought to myself, okay, so let me think, why wouldn't that happen? So I came up with the idea that affirmation without the discipline and without action doesn't lead to anywhere except perhaps the realization that they don't work. So unless you take care of, let's say you have a seed, right? I like the seeds. I think I used the analogy of the seed before. So let's say you know that this seed has the potential to grow into a plant, a tree, a cabbage, whatever. Has the potential to grow. So in other words, if we just write down on a piece of paper and say, this seed in its own time will become my apple tree. Do you think it's happening or is going to happen unless you plant that seed into a fertile soil, water it, let the sun shine on it, and then clean those weeds that grow around it?
No.
I don't think so either. So let me give you another example. Do you think that if you do the best you can in all situations is good enough? Honestly, do you
The best you can. The best you. Oh, that's such a mouthful. Because we say that to our kids. Just do the best you can.
Honestly, I think that if you actually do the best you can, I think it is enough. I think that we underestimate ourselves, and I think that we are capable of way more than we give ourselves credit for.
Let me prove you wrong, and I tell you why. And I come back to the same. Okay, so let's give you the example of this. Okay, let's say I came and I was a doctor, like a medical doctor, not a homeopath. And I came and I said to you, okay, you've got to do 20 push-ups. It's a silly example, okay? In order to save your life. And you say, absolutely, I will do it. But let's take in consideration the fact that maybe you're not in a good shape physically and you've never in your life have done push-ups. Do you think you can do 20 push-ups? I don't think so. Now, let me tell you this, though. Is there a way that you can actually get to do those 20 push-ups? Because your life is at stake here. And I will tell you, yes, there is. And let me tell you how. So let's say you start your push-ups and you realize that there is no freaking way you're going to go all the way to 20. You probably do 3, 4, and you're like, dead, done. Because you've never done it. So I will say this. Okay, do 3, 4, stop shortly, take a deep breath, and do another 3, 4. Stop again, take another deep breath, do another 3, 4, and you keep on going until you reach 20. This is how I look at it of learning how to be disciplined. This is how I look at it of taking actions instead of just sitting there and waiting for it to happen. You know what I mean? So learning to stay focused and don't give up. And don't give up at the first sign of failing. In this case, 3, 4 push-ups, you'll say, that's it, I'm done. There is no freaking way I can do more. So you see, you are actually capable of a lot more than what you think you are. But you don't give the credit for, as Colleen said. So yeah, like, do you think it's important to learn this skill called discipline?
Yes.
Do you think that by learning this skill, you will actually be able to even push aside the so-called procrastination?
Yes.
I believe so too.
Yeah.
Discipline is good. This is spoken like a true competitive athlete, right? I mean, yeah, you must have had discipline to make it right to the competitive level. So for sure. Okay, so Yarrick says eliminate interruptions.
Absolutely.
Distractions.
Yeah.
Eye on the prize or the end goal, and reward and treat yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
Love it.
Wonderful discussion. Yarrick says the best you can equals due diligence. That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, that's our time tonight, girls. Thank you so very much for this wonderful discussion. I hope that everybody enjoyed this as much as I did. I just love being here with you. And, it was fabulous. Okay, this is our last show before the new year. What do you want to leave people with, Colleen? Anything, any special message?
Oh, you're supposed to prepare me for these things. I just reach for the stars. Like, don't underestimate what you're capable of. I think that it's important that when we go, the new year for me, I always look back at the previous year, how far I've come, and kind of look at, what's coming up. So give yourself credit for all the things that you have accomplished. This has been a really hard year. And I think that our light has shone in a lot of places where maybe we didn't think it could. And I think that it's important to focus on all those beautiful things that happened in the past year, as well as aim for the stars, because wherever you put those sights, you will bring yourself there. So aim high so that you get high. You go the sky's the limit. So
Amazing.
that's my message.
Thank you. Thank you. Paula, what's your message to everybody?
I have a motto that I live by, actually. And I always say that take care of your health today so you won't be forced to take care of your disease tomorrow. So I will leave you with that, because in health, it's not just the physical health. It's mental, it's emotional, it's spiritual. It's all intertwined, and one way down the other. So that's what I will say as final words, I guess.
Thank you. Thank you both. Yerrick says, Paula, you look like Madame Butterfly tonight. Lovely show, ladies. Again, hugs and kisses all around. Enjoy the holidays. You earned it, and see you all in the new year.
Dela, what's your message?
Yes.
My message is yes. So show yourself some grace and compassion. Pat yourself on the back for the small wins, and never ever lose hope. That's it. That's it. It's all about hope for me, right?
Speaking of which.
So okay. So I think we should leave everybody with a little holiday cheer. What do you say?
Yeah. Let's go about it.
I'd like to apologize in advance. I'm just saying. Go ahead, lady.
We wish you a Merry Christmas.
We wish you a Merry Christmas.
We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Our next show is January 21, 2021.
This is the butterfly effect.
So yeah, maybe we'll talk about New Year's resolutions there.
Yeah, we'll see how we're doing. Yeah, I love that. That's a good one.
Thanks everyone for being here tonight. Have a blessed holiday season. Mwah.
Wow.
Paula?
This is the butterfly effect, bringing you love,
hope,
and compassion.
Till next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.